Hello and welcome.
Hello.
I'm Kazri Hecate. I'm here today with Yagoda, and she's going to be talking about human design, which admittedly I don't know a whole lot about, so I'm going to be learning today as well. And then after a little bit of presentation, we'll go to some mini readings for maybe initially me, and then whoever else joins us in the chat and wants to do that. And I'll let you introduce yourself, maybe tell a little about who you are, what you do, and talk about human design.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm Yagoda, and I'm an astrologer, a spiritual teacher, a tarot reader, and I also dabble in human design psychology. I'm generally a holistic healer. I'm also a certified Reiki healer, and I use all those practices to be able to guide clients who are looking for alternatives to traditional therapy or trying to just find a deeper meaning in their lives. And this is our third live stream. And before we did tarot and we did astrology, specifically the importance of Vedic Indian influences in astrology in general, mostly the basics, same as the basics of tarot. And today is going to be kind of the same. We're going to do the basics of human design because human design, just like astrology, is just such a vast science. There's so much information. And even myself as technically an expert, I'm continuously learning. But I still think that if you're especially new to those things, then you're going to have more than enough to be able to start with something and more than enough to still feel mind blown by enormity and the accuracy of the information. So maybe in the future we'll do something more specific on human design or anything else, or maybe some branch if someone asks for it. But for today, this is a must if you want to know anything about human design at all. So it's more like
And I will insert that. My thing is doing the weird thing where it puts the sound in my ear. The feedback that we get through the live chat and then later on the restream, the replay about, if you make a comment or ask a question, you can make a suggestion and say, hey, Yagoda, I'd really like for you to do something on whichever topic. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you can make it on the live during the time where we're streaming, you can still ask after and it's going to get to us. And we're also streaming to both of our channels, so you can do it on either of our channels, actually. Anyway, so also I think what's important is that, the knowledge when it comes to astrology, tarot, spiritual arts, human design, or even psychology, the knowledge is out there. Like if you have the internet, there are so many free books, free courses, or cheap courses. They're just, the sky is the limit. The information is out there, but I think that few people actually are able to fully connect with this information, or they find it confounding, or they don't know how to apply it to their own lives. They don't know how it can actually make their lives better. They kind of find it's a bit of mumbo jumbo, and I feel like I have an ability to be able to bring it to you in a way that's very real, and so they don't feel intimidated by the vastness of the subject and see that it actually already exists within your life. You just didn't know. So when it comes to human design, it's relatively the most modern art because it was actually channeled, as you can see in the description, because honestly I don't know how to pronounce this guy's whole name, by a man who calls himself Ra. Basically, this is the shortcut, the pseudonym he chose for himself. And he claims to have had a vision or a contact with something he calls the voice, which is supposed to have channeled to him a new way of quantifying humanity, of describing humanity. And I know it sounds very out there, but honestly, it's very it's real to the point that it's scary, And what's so real about it is that it kind of speaks about human beings like they're machines in a way. That's why it's called design, because it's like we're certain prototypes and we're designed to function a specific way. So that is actually the goal of human design, to improve and really make the most out of our functioning. And kind of, I think it embodies the saying, a tiger can change his stripes. You are what you are, and you should make the most out of it and find out who you are and not fight it. I guess it's the principle of all the esoteric subjects, but in human design, it becomes very real because human design embodies a philosophy of something that is called no choice, which means that if you are programmed as a certain type to do something, you will only function well, just like a machine, if you are being used, if you're using your own life with the mindset of embodying your fullest self instead of going against your design. Yeah, there you go. His name is on the screen right now. He's called Alan Robert Krakauer, but he likes to call himself Ra Uruhu or just Ra. That's what you hear about in the community, the Ra pseudonym. And this guy, very sadly, he already passed away, but he was very dedicated to what he was doing. By the end of his life, he was living on some sort of island in Spain and devoting his whole life to coaching human design. Like, this was his whole life. He did nothing else. He really kind of went away from society and completely was just channeling what he was about. And when I start going into the description of it, you will see that it has just such a real application in everything in our daily life, in the functioning. There are some ideas there that are very controversial. That I'm not really going to go into any of them because there are just so many of them that will be here, till next week. But for example, one of the fundamentals of human design, according to Ra, is that human beings have a certain energy field around them, and that field should be protected in such a way they have to be very mindful of who you enter into interactions with. And that is done, for example, by sleeping by yourself. That means that, of course, you can spend all day if you want to with your partner, but essentially every type functions the best. Sometimes actually it's more essential for them than the others, but every type functions best when they have their own, even very small sleeping space. Because according to him, in sleep we enter into a different quantum state, so that we can become a different person, actually become a different being, which is often kind of accurate, because who didn't have like really wild and crazy dreams, right? And because of that, we end up influencing each other. So it's like we don't really rest because we end up interacting with whoever we're sleeping next to. And honestly, I've always been really sensitive to this before I even knew what human design was. Like, as much as I love my cat, I didn't like sleeping with her. So as someone who has like really experienced it, I find it to be very, very again, scarily accurate, very, very tangible dimension of life. But this is one of those advanced techniques that I feel like society maybe is not really ready for, because there's like just so much resistance socially towards the concept, because there's the idea of wait, so don't you love your partner? That doesn't mean that you can cuddle or have a short nap or make love to them. It just means that when you actually zone out, when, let's face it, when you zone out, you don't remember what you're doing, right? Like when you're sleeping, you don't even know, you're not conscious, so it's hardly a big loss, right? It's not really something that is like so actively important. It basically is a basic limit of conscious participation that is just so important here, and so emphasized in Ra's teachings about just using your design and whoever the universe, I guess, has designed you to be, very very mindfully. The other this actually, well, ironically enough, I'm kind of a bit skeptical about this one, but we will find out soon. The Ra, the creator of human design, who has already passed away, so I guess you won't have any comments about it. He claimed that humanity is undergoing a huge shift that is going to become more apparent in the year 2027. So that's in 3 years. So most of us will be alive to see the day, and it's not going to be like a doomsday scenario. It's not like a one-day blow-up thing. He wasn't one of those doomsday prophets. It's more like a gradual transition towards a certain system of life that makes society organized gradually differently. And I think this is something we can already see during the pandemic, how we have kind of graded more towards smaller groups in a way. And he says it's going to be the future, in a way that from those larger corporate environments, we're going to move into more organic, smaller groups. And this is the next natural phase of evolution of humanity. And again, not an overnight thing, but I actually learned about human design after the pandemic. And then, I was thinking something in the lines of this when it was already happening, that, wow, like we can see just such support towards things like small local businesses, or like, local families trying to get together and stay together in a tough time. And like this mix of both division and connection and rephrasing how it's going to work is really amazing. Yeah, Kezri, you want to say something? Because oh yeah.
I did. 2027, remind me, is there something super significant in astrology that's happening? I mean, I know because Pluto's going into Aquarius, so it's changing signs, but that's sort of happening now. Yeah. What is happening in 20? Is there something in 2027 that is the reason?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think it was just a downloaded thing. I will tell you, the reason is from the perspective of human design. In human design, there's something that's called a cross, and the cross basically gives you the details of what exactly your profile is about. Because we'll do this in a second when we talk about the subtypes. But every subtype is just kind of like it's kind of like an umbrella term. So let's say, like in astrology, you have 12 signs, but no 12 Scorpios are the same. You have like different moon signs, different other planets, right? So in human design, you have even less big types when you have more subtypes, like small types. And the small types are defined in the teeniest detail by something called a cross. A cross is something like a transit, but it's like the transit that happens the the fastest when it comes to your individual birth chart, but it also happens to humanity. So it's like a global transit thing. And basically in 2027, there's a cross change, I guess is how you can call it. I think
Is that correct? That's not how we would define. I just made a banner that said that the cross, because you had said was the details of what your profile entails. That's what I heard, but actually it's something different. What is, I can take this down.
Yeah, exactly. Like the cross we have been right now for, I think, around 200 years, if I remember correctly, is called the cross of planning. So it was a cross of global societal planning. And we are moving to a cross that's called the cross of the sleeping phoenix. And all these things, they last a couple hundred years, basically. So it's basically going to be one of those changes, kind of like you can think of it, the Industrial Revolution, what happened around the time, So, it was gradual. They invented the steam machines, and then, it didn't happen overnight, but it slowly changed the way humanity operates. It's something like that. It's, more subtle. Only here, it's, I think, more of on a social level than technological level. So it's, there are many theories about how that's going to look, actually. I could give you the definition about what the what that cross means, but there are just like so many theories about how that exactly is going to look that, again, this is the more gray area of human design, and frankly, it is emphasized by the experts, certified experts, who actually know even more than I do, and even the creator. Then what matters is your own design and preparing for the outside by looking at yourself. That this is the thing that's actually the most empowering when it comes to entering this new phase. And it's kind of like the whole Y2K scare in the year 2000. The world moved on, and nothing really happened, right? We lived through it. Those of us who were born before the time, and there are some changes, but there always are, right? So it's more of an informative thing. And while human design uses astrology as a basis, it's not the only thing that's happening. As Kazri already put it down before, that there are other spiritual techniques that are involved in it. And there's always that catch-all then, that the creator Ra said, oh, the information came from the voice. So you can't really question it, because if it's channeled, then it's channeled, and this is what he heard, and that's really all there is to it. And I will admit that when it comes to Kabbalah, which is also the influence on it, I am also very new, so I'm not gonna even try to talk about it before I learn more, because I don't want to, give information that I'm not sure of. I only talk about what I know already, and I already think what I just said was already plenty for a lot of people, So let's move on to the thing that you can more observably actually see in society. And I have actually managed to upload a slide. I hope it's going to work here.
Oh, there you go. I have to add it. There's two things I could add. Let's see, which one is it?
It starts with one. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So these are the names of the types according to human design. You can see a small list here. The reflector, the manifestor, the projector, the generator, and the manifesting generator, which are pretty similar. These are the main types that humanity is divided into. And see, this is when the cross becomes important, because there are only 5 groups here, and there are just so many details that embody basically who you are. So many complexities into what type of, let's say, projector you are. There are no people who are identical, because we're all designed differently. We all have different functions to serve. So yeah, as you can see, the most of humanity is of the generating type, the generator and the manifesting generator, where there's a very slight difference to it. And that's according to this, that's like almost 70%. So that's most people. That is because this is basically the worker bees of the world. And, there's nothing wrong with it, because we need generators and manifesting generators to do anything. They are the driving creative force. They're the big bang. They are the ones getting a lot of things done. And if you're watching, there is a big chance that that you are a generator. Now, the second most common type after the generator is the projector, which is kind of the brain behind the machine. These are people who exist as guides, people whose sole mission is to make sure the generators operate efficiently. So it's kind of like like a computer CPU, basically. I'm a projector, for example, and this is why I'm a spiritual teacher, because it's my role to basically guide energy and give information about reliable systems. Well, in my case, it's relative to spiritual growth, but some people can, know other kinds of systems, even something more very mundane like coding, right? Maybe you're an expert coder as a projector, you never know. So basically, projectors and generators have this unique relationship where a projector essentially is kind of powerless by itself. They have to form a bond with the generator. They have to be invited into guiding. And that is kind of like a fail-safe that prevents projectors from using their power. They can do it because they themselves, they don't have any engines, they have nothing to run on. So the brain can only be used if it's connected to a working engine, aka a generator. It's in a way a relationship that should be based on efficiency and should be symbiotic in nature. In reality, sadly, it doesn't always work that way because we're still not very conscious. And also, if you look at that graph, you can see that actually projectors only started to incarnate at a certain point in time. The year he points out is 1781. That before that, actually, it didn't exist. He calls it a mutation. That basically our human DNA, our human genome, has mutated into a certain form that created projectors for more efficiency in our human society. The other type that you can see, the slightly rare type is a manifestor. And manifestors are what was the leadership of the old paradigm before projectors appeared. In a way, they still kind of rule, as in they still have a lot of power in the world because of their power to express anger strongly. It's something projectors don't have, but they're very good at boundaries, and as a result, they kind of end up, screaming generators into doing things for them. But then it's not really good for them because then generators become resentful, and that's why we had like so many, social revolts. Because of that, that's why there were so many wars. Like, notice like how much we have managed to keep our society more civilized despite different conflicts that we have had as time went by. How in human consciousness the memory of the global world war has become so ingrained. It's because we were sick of the whole yelling and fighting and screaming between the manifestors and the generators. We need projectors who are kind of more gentle, as gentle, intelligent guides. And then there's a reflector, which honestly is a very unique type. The creator of human design kind of calls reflectors as people who are kind of completely from outer space, as in they have this unique aura that is called the Teflon aura, which means that they are completely disinterested in the mundane world. They have a tendency to kind of visit this world like passengers and commune more strongly with nature. They are very both uniquely sensitive and energetically resistant. Like they're kind of like the aliens of this world. They are in a way they're like complete channels. It's like for them this world is completely a computer game, and they're just kind of watching the show. And you're going to see this when I actually have another file I should upload actually. And you're going to see this when I show you how a chart looks like, so that you can see. I'm going to describe it first for a little bit before I upload it. So the purpose also of human design is to understand that human beings evolve just like animals. And you probably heard of the basic 7 chakra system that everyone talks about in yoga, from the root, the third eye and all this stuff. The human design system takes it to a whole next level and basically calls the modern human the 9 chakra, 9 centered, 9 channeled being. So right now, the way we are mutating right now, we have 9 activated chakras, channels, instead of 7. And I think that's very fascinating. Why? Because actually, when you look at the spiritual circles, there's so much talk about the fact that actually, as human beings, we have like so much more than just the basic 7 chakras everyone talks about, and that we have potential to access them. But notice how it takes centuries of evolution for us to actually tap into that potential that we have. And this is like very, in a way, quantifying. It shows to us that we are right now at a period of time where we have managed to collectively unlock 9 centers. Like, wow, only 2 when there are probably thousands somewhere. But it also shows us how we can evolve as humanity, both physically and spiritually and emotionally, how our minds and bodies are going to change. And to show this to you, I'm going to upload my own human design chart. Just to find it to show it to you, and we can, study it more visually. There you go. And then, it's kind of, I guess, I can give you an example. I'm not really the most common one because I'm a projector, but you can just see the basics. I think you should see now, Khazri, because it's on my list.
Let's see. Oh, there it is. I see it now.
Yeah, here's my name. There you go. So you can see how the chakras work, that there are those like kind of little squares, and all those squares are called centers, and they are basically centers of energy in our body. So when you look from the very bottom, you can see that at the very basis is the root, So this is basically what we would call our root chakra, the root center, right? That, as we know, it represents our grounding. Is a very physical energy, right? Almost primal, you would say, right? And then right above the root, we have the sacral, which, as you know, people in No3 Yoga, that represents our creativity. It is the sacral is the basic motor. The sacral is what defines the generator because it's a basic life force. The sacral is the engine, basically. And this is why they're called the energy type, because they have the engine. Anyone who doesn't have an engine is called a non-energy type. For example, you can see on my chart here that I have 3 of these top fields colored, and the rest is blank. It's white. So let's say you're a reflector. That means that you have all the centers white. They're all blank because you're basically just like a channel that things come through. And as you can see,
I was going to say, I see the colors of the lines in the chart are going to be different for different people. We're looking at we're looking at your chart. I did have a quick question because I think when people watch it on a computer, they'll be able to see this, but it's small on my screen. And I was listing the types, and I grasped generator, projector, manifester, and reflector. Yes. Is there a fifth type, or is there 4?
Yeah, there is a manifesting generator, but it's kind of like a subtype of a generator. So it's like, a smaller division within the same group, but they are both, still defined by the motors, as in the sacral center. Now, if you're looking to the left of the sacral, here we have the spleen center, which is, this is kind of, new because we don't really talk about the spleen chakra, right? But here it exists here. When you look to the right of the sacral center, we have the solar plexus center, the solar plexus chakra. Then as you go up from the sacral, right under the throat, we have the G center, the identity center. Again, something that is that differs from the traditional chakra ideas. Then slightly on the right and below it is the ego or the heart center. And then as we go down to the throat, there's normal throat chakra, then there's the ajna center and the head, the crown. So ajna is kind of like the third eye, and then you have the crown right above it. That's pretty typical. I hope there was enough to understand. So when it comes to the physical functioning of different types, like again, if I wanted to go into detail about how every one of them can be, it would take us such a long time. The basic difference is that some types basically they have the motor, which is the sacral center, and some types don't. Again, the generators and the manifesting generators, they will have the sacral active because of their engine power. Projectors, reflectors, and manifestors, they do not have that engine, and thus their nature. You can also see on my example profile that there are numbers in human design that next to my, I don't know if you can see it, Casper, it's like right on top under my birth data. It says type projector. Next to it, there's a profile number.
Let's see.
I hope people can also see
it. In the top section.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, no, let's see, because I see it says, and I guess I have a question in here, which is, you use a program to generate all this information that's based on astrology and the different things.
That's an official website created by Ra. I can send the link if you want me to. Basically, it's called the Jovian Archive, and they sell authorized courses in human design. And
getting back to your question, you did ask me the is it the incarnation something that says no, there's some numbers after that says 43, 23.
Oh, that's my incarnation cross. Do you know how you're talking about the world cross, how it's changing? This is my individual cross, what I was born with. This is because there are many of them. This is just for me. But basically, that's why we're talking about how the world is changing across is going through transit just like human beings. Anyway, what I meant to say is that in human design, there are also profiles. They go from 1 to 6. And the number of the profile describes your position within society, and not from a hierarchical point of view. But see, this is also the thing about human design that's nice. It's not about hierarchy when it comes to income. It's about the place that you're supposed to exist in so that you can realize your mission, basically. And again, if I start to get into that, it would be here till tomorrow. So just to give you an example briefly. For example, my profile is the 5, which is called the heretic, and basically that means that you're supposed to be looking from the inside out and giving information from that perspective. As in, you're not really supposed to be a person who goes into like a very bustling party situation, for example. You're supposed to be slightly on the fringe, regardless of your type. Now you can see how that actually makes people unique, because you can have a projector that's any number from 1 to 6, or you can also have a generator that's any number from 1 to 6. So anyone is unique, right? I think it's going to be more visible when I look at your profile, Khazri, and there's going to be a very basic, short version, because
Sure.
otherwise you would spend a very long time here reading. So yeah, I think yeah, go ahead.
And then to clarify, to do that, you needed my birth date and other information, or is it just your birth date that you need?
It's just like astrology, everything. So what you can do right now to make it easy for me is that you can go to the link that I post in the comments and put in your own info, and then just upload your chart. And we're going to be talking about you, and you can do it while I talk, so that it's more.
Okay. And
yeah.
And is that instruction for me, or is that instruction for anyone in the chat that might want to get a mini reading?
Oh, everyone, yes. If anyone wants a mini reading, then you have to go to the link that I put in the comments, and yeah, you can also put your birthday in the comments if you're comfortable with that, and and basically we need it so we can look at your chart. But again, I don't know if people are comfortable with that. Anyway, I'm just looking at the points that I have set up for the meeting to know that the Genesis. I think we covered that with the whole inspiration thing. The breakdown profiles do, and then there you go. There's the relationship between different profiles. So this is more touching on the human design compatibility, which means that certain profile numbers are compatible with other numbers from 1 to 6. And again, if I get into the list, it would be here till tomorrow. But essentially, if you're looking for most basic information, you are most compatible with someone who has the same profile number. That is kind of interesting. That it doesn't matter if you're a projector or you're something else, but you should be the same exact number. Now, when it comes to the profiles 1 to 6, there's the way this works. You can see it on the image of my chart that I have shown. The way the numbers are shown is that there's the first number, there's a slash, and there's a second number. So yeah, exactly. Someone in the comments is saying they're 5-1. I'm a 5-1-2, basically. So me and that person, Monica, hi, we're compatible because we're the same number. So this is basically the highest level of compatibility that you can have. There's also a list of other compatibilities, but it's again, it would be a very lengthy topic. I can look it up for somebody if they want to look at their own chart, but otherwise, I'm not gonna start touching on that because we would run out of time. Yeah, for example, also me and my husband are both 5-1, and that is very much recommended for marriage because when you live with somebody, you're supposed to have a similar perspective. Why is it so important? Go ahead, Khazri.
I just wanted to jump over and acknowledge the folks in the chat and say hello. Jordan is here today, Music and Mushrooms, and Isaac Mann, Spirit Private Investigator, is here and says that this looks interesting. Welcome, Monica Starr. She got generator when she looked that up, because I guess they can see the results, and then you can also do the reading based on, and I'll highlight that again, going to, and that was what I was off doing, trying to grab this and put that in the chart, in the comments again. But anyone who's been here for a little while can see that. And then Shaylee is here. Welcome back. Hello to you as well. She's a regular viewer of the channels. And and you, like you said, Monica is a 1 of 5, which is what you are as well.
It's a 5-1. That's important. The order matters. The 5 has to be first. Yeah, the order has to be first.
And Shaylee would love, and I think we have time for all those things. Do you want to say more about this? Because I think I had a few points that we were maybe going to hit, and I don't know if we hit them all. Let's see, because where did that go? We're going to talk about the genesis. You did the genesis of it, and you did the breakdown. And I just didn't get these on the screen because of whatever reason, the types, and then the relationship between the different profiles.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted
strategy
to kind
for
of
that.
say. It's kind of what I wanted to say next. That unless you are like the exact same type as the next person, there's also one other type that is going to be also compatible with you because you are different yet harmonious. So each profile, first of all, is most compatible with their own type, and then there's one other number that is compatible essentially with them. So, for example, if for me and Monica, because we were both 5-1s, for us it's a 2-4. And honestly, it's really quite amazing how that works. That the friends that I've had for the longest time in my life, they were all 2-4s. Most of them, before I met my husband, who is the same one. But
Is he Scott is a 5-1.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. But actually, it's very interesting how when I moved from Europe, the few friends that actually I still have contact with, despite the move, are all 2-4s, which is a 2-4 is supposed to be this matching competitive profile for a 5-1. I also find from personal experience that having similar numbers, maybe that's not really that mainstream when it comes to human design theory, but from experience, you have an element of commonality because you have the same number, which represents the same thing. So that's also pretty significant. I'm just looking at the timing because we already have half an hour and readings are gonna take time. We can maybe move on right now to the fourth point, which is called strategy and authority. It's made a whole part for it because it's so important. So the whole idea for human design, the whole key to success is that as this machine that I talked about at the beginning, you operate correctly if you follow what is called strategy and authority. So strategy is the same for every main type. So that actually is pretty easy because let's say that you're a projector like I am. Every projector in the world is going to have a strategy of waiting for an invitation. And there are just so many discussions about how this works. Like, I belong to so many groups and, all this theory and people still don't really quite fully agree on how that it works exactly from experience. The way this works is that when you are making major life decisions, when you are making, trying to maybe look where you're inclined toward, you have to be invited into it, which means that you kind of have to sit back and let life come to you as a projector and allow yourself to be invited into the experience of anything. Which means that, let's say, if you are a child as a projector, you're kind of in a very vulnerable position because you kind of are dependent on whatever your parents or your environment can invite you. So if your parents don't invite you to something that works for you, then you can have a pretty hard childhood. That's why it's tough to be a projector, because it is this type that's complicated. But yeah, there you go. Monica said in the comments that she's a generator. So basically, every generator strategy is going to be to respond because a generator is someone, or the same with the manifesting generator, by the way. That's why I said they're the same type because it's both the engine. Generators are supposed to follow their gut, literally. They're supposed to respond impulsively. On the stimulus that comes to them, basically. So again, this is going to be pretty easy because depending on your type, you are going to have the same strategy. I don't know if we have any manifestors or reflectors here. Reflector strategy is to wait a lunar cycle, as a reflector should basically wait like a whole month to basically get into their energy flow. And basically it's something like, well, if it lasted a whole lunar cycle and stay within my body, that means that it's something that's worth following. So I know there are only reflectors here, but maybe if somebody's watching in their reflector, they want to know that. And the last type that we have left when it comes to the strategy is a manifestor, and their strategy is to inform. The manifestors, basically, that's why they took power for such a long time, because they have an easiness in kind of going around and bossing people around. Not like projectors who are kind of more dependent on the other. They kind of can just do whatever they want and tell people what they want. And their motto kind of is like, I see it, I want, and I get it. And you can tell how in the modern world that's like very useful, to be a manifestor and to have that power. But this is what the transition of 2027 is about, that the power is going to be moved from manifestors to projectors for a reason, because the old manifestor systems of, the narrow few getting what they want are failing, and there's a lot of discontent in society. And that's why there's a need for more compassionate leadership. And now when it comes to your authority, that is going to completely depend on your individual chart. You can, be a projector and have several different types of authority. Granted, you're not going to have a sacral one because you're not going to have a motor, but you can be emotionally motivated, or you can have a spleen authority. Or, interesting fact, you can be like me and have no authority, which essentially means that you can make a decision in your life that's serious without consulting other people. So the way this looks is that, let's say that someone invites you to do something. Like let's say I was invited by my husband to move to America. I have to go and talk to several people to basically hear myself speak about it, to know if I feel good about it. It takes really a long time. But that's just, one example of authority for projectors. The most common authority actually is emotional, which means that you have to wait out something that's called an emotional wave. And the other most common one is a sacral authority, which means either you, like Monica has, which means that basically you just have to go with your gut and you make decisions in the moment, on the spur of the moment. It's like very physical, almost sports-like. Anyway, I think that a lot of time has passed already, and I would like to start moving on to the mini readings for Kesri and other people. So, the thing is that people didn't really give me that much information. Monica says she's a 5-1 generator. And
we could potentially start with a short one with me, and because you need for those folks to put their information in and then download it and share it, or put it
in text form also.
Yeah, let's see, because I guess we have to have it in order to be able to put it up on the screen. So
but they could just type also the information the chart is showing them if they don't want to share the great data. Yeah, and also, there needs to be certainty about what type are you, because if somebody, Charlie gave us their data, great. Well, basically, like when you say that you're not sure on the numbers, you have to be sure if you're a 5-1 or a 5-3. So we have Charlie I've been to Salt Lake City, it's so beautiful there. Do you want us to do your chart, Kesri, before we do Charlie, or
either way, if you have her chart, might as well do me first, and then too, we talked about we can go for an hour. We could go for longer if you have the energy, but we have like 21 more minutes till it'll be an hour, and then we can do an hour and a half if you have.
We'll also
or hour 15.
Oh yeah, there you go. See, Monica is giving me her information. Left angle cross of healing. I forgot to. So Charlie is a 5-1. There you go. That's why she's gonna like me, because we're both 5-1s. Yeah, there you go. Emotional authority. That's like I said, the most common one in humanity, which is why human beings are so emotional, right? And fun fact that the emotional wave of the collective earth itself is so strong that most of the time you're exposed to it, and without human design, you have no awareness where you don't have the channel active. For example, I have like my channel of emotional is completely not active, and it takes me being alone for a very long time and kind of like decompressing and cleaning all those centers from people to realize that, you know what, I'm not actually that emo by myself, because I don't have that authority, And having been raised by emotional authority parents, I always thought that this was kind of normal, because you live close to your parent your whole life. So it's very important for beings who are non-emotional. I think Monica is going to be one too. She has a sacral authority. It's very important for a person like this to give themselves the time. So this is Kesri, manifesting generator, 3-6, split definition. Another thing that I could mention that's going to help people who are watching and who want the basics, and you guys like Monica and Charlie who are here now, anyone else who joins, is the not self theme is basically what you get into when you are feeling bad about something and you're not really fulfilling your design. When the machine is not working like it should, that's when the not self theme happens, and you know that you should be switching something up, or something in your environment should change. So this is going to show up differently for different types. For a generator and a manifesting generator like Kesri, there's going to be frustration. That's for most people. That's why most human beings are frustrated when they're unhappy, right? For a projector, that's bitterness. For manifestors, that's anger. And then we also have refractors. And they, with the whole waiting a lunar cycle thing, their not self-theme is disappointment, and that happens for them when they don't wait long enough to see if what came to them was really good for them. That's why it's so important for them to wait it out to see to avoid disappointment, to practically have that time to let the things sink into them, because otherwise if they let it in, the expectation is disappointment for them. Anyway, looking more at you, Kazri. Oh, also another thing that I guess can be interesting is the definition. The definition shows you how the energy you have inside you is connected. Like we have all those 9 centers, right? The 9 chakras. And as you can see, there are these lines that go in between them, right? So just because a channel of yours is active doesn't mean it will be connected to another channel. And then when you have several channels that are connected to each other, they kind of form groups, like lunch tables in high school, and that means that basically you're going to have several parts to yourself, and all those parts of you can operate doing something completely else. Now, the definition that you have, Kazri, the split definition, is the most common in humanity also. That means that you basically need 2 environments to function correctly. From what I'm seeing, you have a very strong motor from your head, throat to the right onto the sacral. This is going to be your main one because that's going to be your authority. So it's going to be very good from action to speech. That's a very good dynamic motor, I would say. But then you also have the other one that connects your spleen to your root, and there's going to be another outlet for you that's going to be more physical, and it could be something like grounding on nature or yoga, or something physical basically that you need to do. So as you can see, some of the lines, they only go half the way, and then the other half is white. I don't know if you can see it on the picture. That basically means that there's no connectivity. For the connectivity to be full, it has to be either black or red, or all black or all red. And you can see on your chart how the root is connected only to the spleen, and they kind of form like an island by themselves, while the other 4 that go from sacral up to your head through the throat, they are all connected in one line. Even if the lines move, there is still a continuity. So it's like a river flowing. There's no dam on the river. So basically, you essentially have those 2 energy types, those 2 parts of you, and they both need to be realized. And this is basically the typical family work setting. This is how it works in society, that when you have a split definition, there is let's say you have a man who's a breadwinner, he goes to work, and then he comes back home to his family. So he realizes that probably his main authority in his job, and then at home, he's going to want to realize the other part. So whenever you want to resource this person, because remember, your machines according to human design, that these channels are all that they have to offer, and this is who basically they are. And these are the energies that you can work with them, and this is what they're meant to do. So that is, a split, which again is the most common. But then let's talk a bit about a single definition, because Monica is a single definition, and so am I. You can put me up so I can for a second, so that
All
I
right.
can. Yeah, because
And
it also
is it this one?
This one, yeah, this one, perfect. Because Monica is very similar to me. She's also single definition 5-1, even though she's a generator. So as you can see here, I only have one group that goes from the throat up to the to the crown chakra, or to what through the ajna to the crown, or what the human design calls the head center. Yeah, there you go. See, Charlie says as a 5-1, the recent boyfriend was 2-4. Exactly, you have those attractions because the 2-4 is the compatibility profile for the 5-1 romantically, especially if it's romantic. That becomes very important. For friends, it's not that urgent, but if you really want to be intimate with somebody, then it's for the 5, the presence of the 2 is really is really something here. Anyway,
I guess
yes.
we already covered that. And I apologize. I'm a little distracted by the different things I have to do here behind the scenes. But
okay.
With the numbers, there's 1 through 6. And so you have that, I was what, a 3, 6 or something. And so the 2 numbers represent one again?
Yes, basically, yes, there are 12 profiles in human design. So there are certain combinations. You have 1/3, 1/4, 2/4, 2/5, 3/5, 3/6, 4/6, 4/1, 5/1, 5/2, and then 6/2, 6/3, 3. So as you know, technically between 1 and 6, you should have more combinations, but they only go together in pairs in 12 different variations. And you are one of those, and there are always 2 numbers involved. The one number in the front is the main one. So that's why I said 1 to 6, because it's like the main number, and the second number is the sub number in a way, basically. So let's say that someone asks you, what number are you? So I would say, well, I'm a 5. And what subtype you are? Well, I'm a 5-1, as opposed to somebody else who can be a 5.5/2, right? So yeah, out of those 6 numbers, we have 12 profiles that can be created. And yeah, again, if I didn't want to go into all of them, because again, we'll be here for the next week if I start to describe all the profiles. I was trying to kind of like compress this, which is difficult, because it's like opening a Pandora's box of information here.
Yeah, and the good thing to know is we will go on, and so we're looking at yours, but we were going to look at, was it Shaylee you wanted to look at next? And so we do a couple of mini readings, and it's always exciting to get the information, but I will plug that, this is Yagoda's thing that she does. Here we go. And we'll plug this again later. But yeah, if you reach her through her Linktree / Making Spirituality Real, then you can get in touch with her about either an individual reading or more information. And I think we will have you, and we're streaming to both channels today, your YouTube and mine. And then we're going to do this something, and I guess we'll decide what we could do more human design next week, or we might do something different.
We have many ideas about this, so there'll something will be there definitely. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna actually go back to you, Kazri, but I'm just talking about the definition here. That's why I came back to myself to also do it for myself and Monica, because we're the same type and we also have a single definition. Exactly, like Charlie says, that the first number is the conscious one, and the other one is the subconscious. So for the 5-1, the 5 is conscious and the 1 is subconscious. Exactly. So again, it's something that I didn't want to get into, not to prolong it too much, but we can, if you guys are interested, then we can come here with more detailed information. I was still talking about the definition. Yes, as you can see for my chart, and I'm guessing it's going to be, she's calling it the names, because the 5 profile is called the heretic, and the 1 is the investigator. So when you mix the 5 with the 1, it's called a heretic investigator. That's how the profile is called, which is, useful because actually now that
that is nice to use those words, because of course, I'm a 3/6. I haven't learned what those mean, but you get more mileage out of that if you call it. Because what is the 3 and what is the 6?
Yes, the 3/6 is called the martyr role model. The 3 is the martyr, and the 6 is the role model. So the conscious one is the martyr. But I know it sounds dramatic, but essentially the martyr is about learning something through trial and error, and then through those mistakes, giving practical applications towards people's wisdom, basically. And then your subtype, which is the 6, is the community calls it the sage on the mountaintop. I guess it's more of a metaphorical name, but again, it's about reflecting on your past experiences and looking at life from a bird's eye point of view. So first, what you do is you go through trial and error, and then you kind of synthesize it and you talk about it to people. I guess on a platform that also works, and every profile is unique. But I find it very interesting because literally everyone. I'm confused because Charlie is now saying that she's 5.5/2. I guess I'll see when I look at her chart. But I find it interesting that there are so many 5s in the comments, because basically I guess it's you seem to attract 5s, Kazri, for some reason, like me and the people that came. So it's interesting.
That's not the compatibility thing. I'd have to look at mine again. Does it say what? Or that's just something to know. 3/6 is most compatible, other than with other 3/6s who.
The 3/6 goes with a 6/3. So basically, someone who's going to be like the flip side of you. So instead of the 3/6, you would have someone who is 6/3. That's the best person for you. Either someone who is like you or 6/3. But honestly, I find that the 5s and the 6s or people who have 6 somewhere, they tend to also kind of gravitate together, because my second most popular friend attraction after the 2.2/4, which is the most, the 2/4 being the highest compatibility for 5/1, was people with 6s actually. 6s were the numbers that the 5s attract to. Why? It's because I was actually trying to find the image for the meeting and I couldn't, because I think it's behind some sort of a paywall. The creator of Human Design, he kind of compared all the profiles to being in a house, basically, and he showed different environments of the house. And the 6 is the one that sits on the roof, so it sits on the top, looking down at the rest. But the point of this is observing. Oh yeah, Charlie meant the height, not the profile. She said 5. She said 5.2.
Yeah, she put 5 feet 2 inches. Yeah, which Do you know? Because you weren't raised in the U.S., so maybe 5'2" doesn't mean
No, I'm not
how
sure.
many centimeters.
No,
Yeah,
I'm like
that's how many
5'9". Actually,
centimeters.
I'm very tall. So I'm like 5'9", 5'10", like 5. You're fun size. Well, I'm not fun sized. No. I think I'm even actually taller than my husband because I'm pretty tall for a female. The career modeling is waiting for me. Anyway, I was talking about the sixes being on the roof, and the reason why there's a compatibility with the 5 is because the 5 is the one that resides kind of in the attic, so it's very close to the 6. They are both kind of on the top, observing, and that's what the 5 and 6 have in common, which is why there is an affinity, and thus maybe interest in spiritual subjects because they are the ones who actually they go into research on some sort of things. Oh my God, Monica says she's 6'2". She's taller than me. Monica, I want to be friends with you. I am dying to have tall friends. I never had tall friends in my entire life. I don't know how I do it. All my friends my whole life have been short or at least shorter than me.
Well, I'll have to get you. Oh, that's right. You're not in the Portland area anymore. Yeah, my friend Leah is very tall. Is she? She's at least 5'8". She might be 5'10". Yeah, because I'm 5'6". Well, I was 5'7". I'm now kind of maybe like 5'6" because I'm getting a little bit older. But yeah, that's sort of average tall for a woman. I think is 5'6", and then But you're.
Because I would love to look someone in the face, not instead of like, peering over them. I just want to stand in front of someone.
And 6'2", you'd have to look up to Monica.
That's a welcome change, And also, I actually love high heels. So I think they're so pretty, and I love walking. That makes me feel so great, and that makes me like even more. Who is that? Down there, like it gets tiring. And when I was a kid, I had a dream of marrying one of those 6'5" basketball players, and Scott is my height. He's like maybe like an inch shorter, so that also didn't really help. And I'm kidding. It's not that important. Like it's 21st century. We're all sitting down most of the time anyway, so it's it's true. It's not really that important. It's just Anyways, I was talking about the compatibility between the 5s and the 6s that we are because we're both kind of looking down on the rest of the profiles. Down as an observing, not respect, just looking from above to observe details. That because of this, the 5s can attract 6s and vice versa because of the similarity. Can you go back to my chart, Katri, so I can go back talking about the definition because I still didn't finish for myself and Monica also the single definition. Yes, so as you can see here, there are only like 3 colored centers for me from the crown to the throat, and they are all connected. They form a single line. And that's what is called a single definition, that basically you only have one line of connection. If you remember, Kazri had 2, I have 1, and so does Monica. And that means basically that the person only has like one energy source, and who they are is what they do, and what they do is who they are, and that kind of encompasses their whole life. And that's also why I call what I do a holistic healing practice, because I do it because I am into that, and this is how I live my life. So when you're a single definition person, what's very important is your integrity. You can't, you have to walk the walk. What I mean is that I can't, be a spiritual teacher and not try to apply this in my own life because it has to be something that I am. So I try to fake it by, having a job that doesn't define my interest, then it would just collapse because the definition basically is all about the self-expression. And here, of course, differently for different person, it's gonna be located elsewhere. For example, Scott is also single definition, and he just has this bottom sacral connected to the throat, and it's just located elsewhere, but it's also a single definition thing. If Monica could tell me which boxes in this chart for her are colored, I could tell her more about her single definition, because from what she wrote down, if she says she's a generator, then it has to be the sacral has to be connected, but I'm guessing she's going to be motor to throat. But I don't know how far it goes for her. There are many options for that. It can spread far and wide or be very, very narrow. So what's also important before we move back to analyzing Chelly and Kazri is that the centers that are colored are the ones that you kind of have at your own disposal, which means this is the energy that you kind of have to burn out in yourself before you go to bed. And you don't need anyone to resource it. And everything else that's white for you is naturally going to come into contact with any person you talk to, and you're going to start emulating and experiencing their energy. So let's say that you're a person who has their own sacral motor, which is, I think everyone here besides me. You are someone who needs to tire the motor out before you can fall asleep. And actually, people suffer from insomnia, from not burning out their centers enough, funnily enough. So it's important to be conscious about what your profile type is and kind of use it up before you go to bed, like channeling to something productive, so you can feel.
What I have,
yeah.
I have a question. Is that sort of, for those of us that are sensitive, and like I had several that were, lit up, is there kind of more energy there? Do we feel that more in the body? How does that impact, or how does this information and this diagram relate to the physical body?
Okay, first of all, there's literally the connection here is that the mind and the body and the emotion are connected in human design. That's why it's so important. So when you say energy, it's all sort of energy. So the more energy centers you have, the more activities you have to have. And the more independent you are, like you don't need anyone to kind of pick you up and take you to them. I'm not sure how to share. The fourth one out in the center is yellow. Yeah, maybe you should use a different website. So I don't know.
I have an option, because I don't know if people want, you have to put your birth date, time, and place, which you might not want to put on the internet. If people wanted to like email that to me, then we could pull, because would it be helpful to have their actual whole chart up there? Is that the best way for us to do that?
Yes, that would be quite great, because see, right now Monica is using some sort of different website and the cards are different from her, and I can't tell by the colors, so it doesn't give me enough info. So it would be nice, if you could email your chart to Kasri on her email, then so she can display it on the screen, and this way it can be simpler for us to analyze you. Anyway, yes, still talking about those full centers. That basically shows you the things that you can and kind of have to exhaust on your own before you are able to fall asleep restfully. And you can like very easily see with someone like me who has very few centers. Actually, there's some people, believe it or not, who have all the centers colored, and I only have 3 out of 9. That means that the one thing that I can do myself, and yes, Charlie, we have you on the list. Don't worry, you are, you're there. We remember about you. But also what I'm saying right now is important to all of you. So please listen, because it's going to be applicable to your own chart too, and we get to it. Okay, so basically, looking at my chart, you can see that the only thing that I kind of can do independently is the whole throat to intuition center, and that's exactly what I do. Is that when I am yes, shall we have your info? We remember you. Whereas Kasri is talking to Monica, so that we could see her chart on the screen as well as yours too. So we have you, Charlie, and thank you for doing that. It was very helpful, and it's easier for us. Anyway, yes. So basically, all I can do on my own is that I can speak about things that come from the top of the crown, which is a spiritual conduit, while the middle is the mind that processes that. So basically, when no one comes into my life and when I don't really have anyone's motor to write on, all I do is basically I use my brain, I research, or I channel spiritual topics, and I either write. Writing is also a throat, by the way, it's communication, or I speak about them. Oh, she wants to delete it. Yes, I think I see it in a notepad. That's what's going on. I saved the information here, so I guess I have it here.
Yeah, and I am working to pull up her chart. You can keep talking about what you're talking about, and I will put Jaylee's information in and then have that ready to put on.
There you go. Kasri's working on it, Jaylee, so we're on to you. We're still waiting for Monica's information. Anyway, so you can see how basically it's kind of the nature of the projector, that the person has a limited energy to themselves, and to be able to move that whole machine, you need someone else's invitation to be able to do it. And because the other person actually generates it, us as projectors, we kind of amplify it. Like, it's a very common misconception that when you have an open center, you end up sucking someone dry. That's not how it works. You end up actually adding up to it. So let's say that there's a generator that wants to kind of make their motor shine and expand it. The projector is going to basically make it pop. It's going to make it louder, which actually is more exhausting for the projector than for the other person who generates it. Because, as I said, it's very important to clean yourself from your energies before sleep. Now, you can move on to your chart, Kasri, now. Like, you can put it up on the screen so we can look at that for reference.
1 second, because I'm putting her in the middle.
Okay. Take your time. But essentially, what's important here is that when you have a physical center like Kasri or Monica has it too, and I don't know for Charlie, but we'll see it soon. It's important that you have to exhaust your physical body through some sort of a physical activity before you go to sleep. For myself, I feel like I only don't sleep if I haven't read enough, if I haven't communicated enough, if my head hasn't been used up enough, because it's the only thing that I have defined. If I'm doing anything else, like anything physical, any workout, I have to be with somebody who's gonna borrow me their motor. That's why, for example, I only go to sports with my husband when he's there, because he's the one with the motor. No, it's okay, Charlie. I know you wanted to make sure. Don't worry, remember you. It's just there's just a lot of info, and I'm trying to make sure that I account for everybody.
So you would like for me to put my chart
Yes,
back up?
yes, because I need somebody with a defined sacral. I only showed myself to show single definition.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. See, and here you have all those bottom physical centers. And what's also important is when you have a split definition, like Khazri, you have to use up both of these channels so that you can, again, rest. They both have to have their outlet. If you're not going to have an outlet for at least one of them, you're going to be frustrated. And as a result, you're going to end up being a frustrating person to others because you're not taking ownership of your energy. And Khazri, again, is the most common type because the split is what most of humanity is. But some people are what is called not a split, but a triple split. That means that they have more centers colored and they have 3 different outlets that they need. And I know some of these people because my father is one. And these people, God, they are just such powerhouses. They are so overwhelming when they don't have something to do. It is exhausting to be around them. My father is retired now, but he used to work 3 jobs his whole life. And that is correct for him. He has 3 different centers. He's a triple split. He's supposed to have 3 jobs, it's what he's supposed to do. But honestly, when I think of the kind of life that he has led, it's very rich, it's a rich life. And that works for him with all those triple split definitions. I used to have a triple split roommate, and honestly, like living with her, it's not her fault. I was so drained. I was overwhelmed. Like what I liked is that we used to travel together, and her energy was kind of carrying me around in a lot of places. It's the gift of the triple split that they are very wide. But as someone with a single definition and a projector, my legs, like my whole body was hurting from exhaustion. So you can see how the more centers you have, the more energy you have to use up, and how if there's anyone around you, they can really just burn out. And that, by the way, concerns even you generators. So let's say Khazri, that you have to look at your open centers. You have one center that's totally open. The picture is kind of small, but if I'm seeing this correctly, this is your ego or heart center. So you should be extremely careful to be around people who are very driven, determined, and egotistical. These people, they're going to go right into your open center and they're going to exhaust you. So I'm safe for you because I have nothing there. So I can't, I can't do this to you. But you're going to actually emulate. Yeah, go ahead.
Does that mean somebody who on their design chart has has a filled in? Because the heart center, is that what's kind of to the images left, to our right, but to the images left?
It's the only one that's totally blank for you.
Yeah. Well, other than the top one is, and then the one to the on the right.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know if you can see the difference. The one at the very top.
Oh, I see. Because it doesn't have, it's not connected to it. It's both not colored in and it's not connected to anything, because the other ones are connected. I now hear you.
I guess it's a good point to give another piece of information because again, it's important. There's a difference between a center that's completely open and undefined. Undefined is the one that you have on top. It doesn't connect to anything, but it has what's called a hanging gate. There's a gate on top that's kind of like loose. There's like a little purple circle on the very top, for example. I don't know if you can see it well. That's an undefined center. A completely open center has no gates and has nothing. So this is the one where you're the most vulnerable, but you also can read your environment very well. So let's say that you're in a group, Khazri, you will be able to know, like Europe can be like someone who is like the narcissist magnet and the narcissist detector straight away. You can like just know basically who is like too full of themselves or who doesn't use that well. But you can also be good for being able to see who can be also charismatic, because the center is not all bad. It depends on how you use it, right? But then again, you have to be careful being around those people because you're going to naturally feel that very strongly in you. And you're going to just end up, burned out from this, and you're going to end up feeling a long time. Just to show you how that works differently, Scott has a completely open emotional center. Like, I'm safe for him because I don't have any definition there. But he even tells me that when he watches fiction, he can't stand it because he can't separate himself from the emotion of the characters, because that's how sensitive the center is for him.
And for which is the emotional center, like the diamond shape in the center? Because I see the heart is.
It's the one on the very right or at the bottom. Yours is undefined, but it has 3 gates colored. It's white with 3 purple circles on the inside. Can you see it? Is that near to the bottom? That's the one for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, it just gives you an example of how that can work. Luckily for me, I don't have any open centers, because for a projector, that's a killer. That's even worse. You become even more like sensitive, so that in a way it allows me to hold my own, but it's not easy either way.
And I guess I'll just, I definitely want us to move on and talk about some other people's charts, but I will say about myself, it's interesting. The heart piece, I feel like I have, and I've been told by psychics at time when I get sort of energy readings that I have like a, metal sort of armor over my heart chakra. And so when I do meditation, when I work on chakra or when I think of it, I always do make an effort to open it. And then too, sort of self-love of like, feel the energy go out and all the way around and like back in the back of it. But it's interesting because that's, other than my throat, I feel like my throat chakra is blocked. I'm a person who, I talk a lot, but I don't speak up about things. Like the number of things day to day and throughout my life that I have wanted to say, and I just hesitate and don't. So however those things can sort of be reflected in this chart, because the throat chakra must be the square that's kind of at the throat location.
Yes. So basically what that can mean is that you have a certain blockage in expression of either of the channels that you have, but it can be on either side of the throat. So basically the channels are the lines that are colored from both sides. This is basically like the river flow of your energy. So you can have issues with any of those. I can't really see well, but let me look. So from what I'm seeing, you have the one connected to the 8. So like you can, for example, very quickly look at the 1-8 channel. And you can, there are like whole super long articles that you can find online, and it's called the channel of inspiration. So for example, you can have a wound there that, let's say maybe you were a kid, and whenever you were inspired to make a drawing, maybe some parent was telling you, you're not drawing well, and then, it starts trauma, and then you struggle right now to express yourself and talk in an inspired way because there is some sort of a blockage there. So what's helpful is to Google what the channel is supposed to do, and then you can kind of use psychology to see, why am I not doing that, for example? Why am I not connected to that? Am I operating correctly? But that can really go from either way. So I'll have to like sit just with your chart for the next 2 hours to try to maybe investigate that with you, which I can do now if I'm supposed to look at Monica or Chelly.
Yes.
So Monica is also asking if Ra is from Krakow, which is where actually I was raised. Funny enough, no, this is just how he's called. It's a coincidence. I know we are Polish, but it's just a coincidence. By the way, the name of the Human Design founder is similar to a very popular town in Poland that Monica knows of because it's a famous town and where I was raised actually. So it's a coincidence, Monica. It's not, it has nothing to do with
sort of a coincidence, even though I don't really believe in coincidences. It's interesting that vibration of that word or that name was where you were raised and now you're in human design. But would you like me to put up Shaylee's chart, or did we get
I don't know, did you get an email from Monica? I don't know. While we're waiting for the email from her, we can look at Chelly. Is that Chelly? Oh yeah, because it's a 5-1.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. It's a 5-1 manifesting generator. So you're the exact same type as my husband because he's also a 5-1 manifesting generator. But you are a split. You are split. So you're gonna be like Kazri, you're gonna have 2 different outlets. So okay, so one outlet is gonna be from the sacral, then connected through the G center down to the spleen. And that's all kind of together. And then separately, the throat is going to the emotion and to the root. Okay. Oh, yeah. Monica sent you an email, Kazri. She says in the chat. So she should.
Yes, I did.
Great. Yeah. So there you go. See, I'm wondering, Chelly, if you are doing something that would connect between the throat, the emotion, and like I can see you the kind of person who should like join some sort of a singing, dancing group, because this connection from the throat to the expressing emotions and to the physical. You might honestly benefit from some sort of like tribal rituals to release that energy, or you might be someone who is actually very charismatic here. And then the sacral physical spleen, that's more like, again, it's in another physical center. It's a very like earthy, grounded chart. But then you have 2 open centers. One like Kazri, it's the open ego center, and you also have an open crown. Okay, as someone who has a defined crown and is my authority, I can tell you people with open crowns that I've met, they are very vulnerable to what people like to call psychic attacks. They are very spiritually sensitive, as in they don't have natural defenses against someone's spiritual potential negativity going towards them. Like I can tell you as someone who has that, anyway, I always feel like protected by my spirit guides. So I felt more wounded in my body as a projector, but spiritually, I always felt calm when I was sleeping. So you can be someone who can suffer from things like sleep paralysis, and you have to be careful who you even invite on, like on the astral. So you're the kind of person who should put like black tourmaline around your bed, black salt, like protect yourself, because you're gonna be vulnerable in your sleep state, and you're also gonna be like physically active, but then subconsciously very sensitive to any spiritual negativity from somebody. I have a friend who is like different profile than you, but she's like all defined, but has this open top chakra. So it's actually a very powerful person that has a lot of energy, and you could think that she could dominate most people, but when she talks to her father, who is quite psychically toxic, she literally says that she feels the bad vibe in her crown just from this one center. So this is like someone who should, in a way, be very spiritually careful, because you can be sensitive to somebody who has your well-being in mind. Let's say that right now I'm completely plugging into you because my whole definition plugs, like covers your whole head basically. I'm just giving you channeled information so you're safe, right? But if you are, and also we're talking for like an hour, so you're gonna get away from this. You're going to learn something, and you're gonna be basically safe. Yeah, there you go. See, you have had sleep paralysis several times. It's the top thing, Yeah, but the friends can't save me. There you go. Like the necessity for psychic protection is necessary because there is this high sensitivity. Honestly, like I kind of see you as someone who can be like very vulnerable to like those cult leader type personalities, because those people normally they actually have very sadly have strong psychic abilities, and often that's mixed with strong egos, which is exactly where you are open. So it doesn't matter if it's just a boyfriend. You should be careful to like those kind of charismatic men that just seek to exploit you. It seems like it's like kind of like your Achilles heel. Well, you yourself are like a bubbly physical personality, and also emotionally defined. So yeah, definitely be careful. Be careful who you hang out with. The other thing that they have all the men have been there. So she says I hit the nail on the head, and well, that means you haven't been dating well, honey. As a 5-1, you have to be like really careful who you hang out with, because that's the heretical personality is often misunderstood by people. Like even if you mean well, people just end up painting you as the bad guy, and that can lead to a lot of gaslighting. So as someone who knows how you feel, just stay in a good positive vibe. Just use those physical energies for yourself. I'm just thinking of your main definition, Sean, because oh, you took her out, Kesri?
I didn't mean to do that. Let me get back to where that was. Whoops.
Yeah, I also I want to touch on one last thing, and then we're gonna move on to Monica because we didn't see her yet. But yeah, I want to look at her main channel so I can give some advice.
No, is it this? Is this it? Let's see.
Yeah, that's her. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it's blurry. I'm trying to look at the gates here to see the main channel, the one that goes from the sacral to the. I think the channel is the 5 gate to the 15 gate. So the 5-15 gate is going to be about being patient and magnetic. So what that means is that you kind of stay in your own feminine energy, and you definitely should not be the kind of person who chases a partner, because see all those little purple circles that you have. Again, I could be here for 3 hours explaining this. They represent a certain theme in your life that can express itself in both in positive and negative ways. And what matters really here is like your main channels of energy. And one of your main channels actually has a theme that you may become very impatient, and as a result jump between partners and even become pushy with them just to get that fix, and as a result you feel you feel dull and empty without them. But essentially what you're supposed to be is a magnetically patient person. You're supposed to attract instead of push. That's what matters for your authority a lot. That you should really let them come to you, and just magnetize them through your own activities, your physical activities, like dancing or whatever passions you have. I am sensitive, but somehow I have always just been really good at protecting my energy. Plus, I have an amazing spirit too. Well, I'm happy for you. I'm really happy for you. I would say that it's not even protection in your case. You just generate so much passion that it could kind of take you further. Like really make sure that you have at least like 2 environments or 2 different pursuits that you feel that you realize your passion in, And honestly, they're both physical. One is more emotionally physical, so it's more like singing. One is more physical, so it can just be playing sports. But you're a very physical person. You have the whole bottom is defined. You need like a lot of physical activity during the day. Like you're the kind of person who could have like a full-time job that's 8 hours of movement, and then you can have a hobby 3 hours after that, and you would still be fine. Like I would die if that was me, but you will be fine. In fact, I think you needed to even be able to sleep. Like you're the kind of person that if you don't tire yourself out physically, I think you could have like serious insomnia. Like look at that bottom, it's like it's all defined, so grounded. Anyway, many people say they can't deal with vibration. Yeah, I'll tell you why. It's because it's so. If somebody is more like in their head, like I am, they're gonna feel like physically torn. Like they will not be able to carry this. You have to be with somebody who's equally physical, or at least has one of the channels that you have, so that they can participate in your activity. I at one time thought I was a Hyoka. Well, that's interesting. Okay, for those who don't know, Heyoka is a word for an empath that's linked to Native American culture. It's a certain type, and I think that the reason why you are so convinced of this empathy of yours is the open, crown center, is because you are spiritually psychic in a way, but honestly, your physical vibration should protect you because you're also very. Again, very physically attuned. Anyways, move on to Monica so we can give her some time also, since she sent her chart.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can share that. Yeah, her last comment here, Chaley, saying that, yeah, she's the jester, which is, yeah, it's without going too much on that tangent. Yeah, it is the person that's sort of the fool, which when we were talking about tarot the other week, they're allowed to sort of like make fun of things. And so they do speak the truth in a very controlled, like if you think about a jester in a kingdom where the king can just say off with your head and like you're dead right then. Yeah.
Then take off the head and do this, and the audience is amused. Yeah, but it's even when you think of a jesters, what do they dance and sing? They're physically, they're buoyant. So again, it speaks to that very heavily body energy. So yeah, we're still waiting for Monica's chart so we can talk about her too.
I will get that right up on the screen.
Yeah, because I didn't even realize it's already been like almost an hour and 20 minutes, and Monica deserves her time in the spotlight too.
Yeah, we do. And yeah, thank you for sending that, because and I had to rotate. I had to turn it into a PDF, so did that, and then it came up sideways. So where is it? Let's see, it's processing. It'll be up here in a second. Here it is.
Yeah, I can see the. Well, she wrote the information before, but yeah, it is a 5-1 generator. Yeah, it is a single definition. This is very funny. It's like a completely. Oh, you have what my husband has, an open emotional center. You have to be really careful who you hang around with. Most of the world is very full of emotional energies. You're gonna be very overwhelmed, and you can like emulate other people's feelings, and in a way, it can get very nasty. Like, let's say you hang out with somebody who is like very nasty emotionally, then you end up doing this to other people unconsciously. It's very tough, Like you can be really like a prey for energetic vampires with this. And you also have an open head, which means you can have people try to tell you what to think in a way, which is very tough. I have a friend with an open head center, and she has a difficult parent that always tells her what to what to think, and God, is that hard. In a way, the point of this, yes, Charlie, 5-1s are compatible with 2-4s. Yes, you are. And yeah, 2 emotional authorities are the same authority, so it's fine. Anyway, yeah, you have to be really careful so that you don't let people put thoughts in your head, because the point of an open head center is that you're supposed to browse different ideas and take something out from each and every one of them and pick what works for you. You have to preserve objectivity, intellectual objectivity. To give you a contrast, a person like me who has a defined head when it's my authority, what I do is that I learn and I generate my own thought form and I teach people, because that's what my head is supposed to do. It's my main task in this life. But you're more of a learner, and then you're going to emulate whoever you listen to. You have to be really careful who you're taking teachings from. Like, be scrutinous and only respond to what works for you and actually works for your empowerment. And it's your sacral, your gut feeling is going to tell you when something is right, because that's your authority. It's very funny because for generator, you have like a lot of open centers, so you're like more of a sensitive type. Like Shelly is more buoyant. She can go out, she can do a lot of things. She's going to be safer, but you have to be like more self-preserving with that with energy, because you have like more obviously open places where people could try to overpower you in ways that don't really work for you. So you have to be careful of that. And again, your main channel is 2551, 15.5, and 4629. Yeah, I would say the most strong is that sacral connection to the G center. So it's more like a vital expression of your purpose. So you could be a very driven person, Monica, as in, I think Charlie is more like physically all over the place, but you can be the kind of person that really likes to have a goal. Like you get up and you just, you want to do that. And you're like, yeah, I'm getting up and I'm doing this because this is me. So you could be very strong in motivating or even, leadership positions when it comes to leadership that needs to grab people, with you, because that self-force is strong. You could have a very authoritarian vibe. But then with the open emotional center and the open head center, you should be careful that you don't end up kind of doing someone's bidding, because that strong drive mixed with that open intellect and open emotion, you can be very susceptible to using that amazing channeled energy in the way that someone tells you to. So it's like purpose driven. Okay, so what I'm saying is that how, let's say that you're a sibling and you're the eldest sibling and you have a very authoritative parent. So the parent indoctrinates you, and then you end up bossing your younger siblings the way your parent bossed you. This is the kind of scenario that I'm seeing. Of course, metaphorical, but you see my point, is that you can be someone who has to really scrutinize whose power are you emulating and whose power are you turning into purpose. Is it good for you? Is it good for others? I'm also looking at the 46 to 29 channel because it's going to be the strongest one for you, and it's the strongest connectivity. For you, it's all about being able to immerse in the moment. You have to be really conscious of how you feel in the given instance about what you're doing. You have to be careful so that you don't dissociate and kind of just avoid confronting how someone makes you react, because maybe they're someone that you think you love. You have to see how you are feeling in the moment. You know that the highest expression of the gate 46 actually is an experience of ecstasy. So I know it sounds a bit far-fetched, but you can make the kind of experiences in life. You can meet people who make you feel so good, they make you feel ecstatic. Literally, you have that opportunity in this life. So if someone is making you feel anything less, if they're not making you feel good about yourself, then the person is not for you. And the other issue is that with the 29 gate, this is a gate about devotion. So you can be very devoted to people that are charismatic, but then you have to make sure that you don't commit to the wrong person. Then you have the same 515 channel that Chile had. But again, Chile was more all over the place. You are more focused, and in a way, focus can be dangerous when it's misdirected. So again, be really careful who you give your devotion to. Would be my piece of advice. Like, be careful what you devote your time to and who you devote yourself to, and also be careful when it comes to your tendency towards being unconsciously agitated, as in you don't even know that someone pissed you off, and then you go out into it and you're just irritated. And you're like, why am I irritated? But it's because you didn't scrutinize who you are around. And this other channel that you have, the 2551, this is a channel about only forming connections based on awakening universal love. So there needs to be some sort of feeling that when you meet someone, doesn't mean if it's a friend or if it's a romantic partner or if it's a work opportunity, you have to feel that feeling of cosmic acceptance with them. Because that gate is I'm talking about Monica right now. It's her time we're looking at Shelly. But yeah, you both need to have a better taste. Although for Shelly is more romantic, but Monica is saying that her picker is so off. But this is something that's called conditioning in human design, which means that probably somewhere in the family environment you were conditioned to emulate maybe one or both of your. That's okay, Shelly. It's okay. You can get confusing. Well, I was talking about you because you and her both have the same channel, but this is where the similarity ends. So basically, what matters is that you have to kind of check how you are feeling about any person whose power you really believe in. So it's kind of like subscribing to the wrong religion for you, Monica. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have to make sure that your devotion is not misplaced. And again, the right situation is going to make you feel that universal acceptance is going to make you feel enveloped by, I guess, for lack of a better word, the love of God, because of the 2551 channel. But again, in its shadowy expression, there's a certain ignorance of what you're committing to, and maybe even a fear of backing out of it. So you may be scared to back out of commitments, even if they don't feel good, and they may kind of overstay your welcome in your life. But you have to be, again, really careful what you do with that, because you have that power to, again, convince others of what is not right if it comes to it. So definitely be careful what you're letting into your life. This explains a lot. Well, it was supposed to. That's the magic of human design. And you also really have, again, this ability to really experience life fully in the moment. So you can kind of get lost in the moment, whether the moment is good or not. So I think it can help you to kind of be by yourself and see, or like have an emotion journal. How did being with this person make me feel after? And see how your responses are. You can even have a sort of numbness to your own responses, Monica, that you can kind of ignore your own instinct, and as a result, you end up initiating the wrong things out of conditioning, because you have that power to initiate, but you have to make sure that you initiate from a place of love. So it's a very interesting mix in a way. That mix between being initiated by someone first just to initiate others. Again, I'm seeing a middleman. Oh, dzięki. Nie ma za co. Just, speaking Polish between each other. Since we're both Polish, I guess that, like, let's say that your parents are very Catholic, which is common in Poland, right? And then you go ahead and you join the church, and you end up inviting others to get to church because your parents raised you into it, right? So make sure that you really feel the love from the experience. Now, you can use church to have a spiritual experience. When I was a kid, it's what I used to do. I didn't really care about the prayers, but I used the experience of being in church to connect with the higher force, because it was so peaceful and serene. So I kind of maybe even disconnected from the actual prayer, and I just connected to the universe through it. But here you can be the kind of person who actually attends prayer groups and then tries to, tell younger kids what to do. And you just have to make sure that your teachings are based on something that's relevant. Shelly says, I've been pretty much single for 2 years. I've been seeing a guy for a year, but no commitment, and he actually just cut me off. Well, a good riddance is what we're saying, Shelly. Go dance. Like, I'm not even kidding. Go use that sacral, go be the physical butterfly that you are. See, Monica says her mother was a tarot reader. That's very interesting. But then you have to also make sure that, tarot, I don't know if you were there in the previous meeting. Tarot is about intuition. It's not about superstition. And sadly, some people, in Poland, from my experience, they kind of borderline more on superstition than anything else. So again, make sure that you feel good about the experience that you're having with her tarot here. There are no two ways to read tarot, and your mother is entitled to her experience naturally, but make sure it works for you, because you're the one who hangs out with her, not me. So it's about you. Anyway, it's kind of been like an hour and a half, and I'm getting exhausted. So any last questions, anyone? Or
yeah, we can wait for questions in the chat. I put some things in the chat, but I'll also bring up some banners here and remind everybody that Jagoda practices Reiki and Tarot and human design and astrology and all the things. And her channel and her business is Making Spirituality Real. And you can reach her at the Linktree /Making Spirituality Real, or on YouTube, youtube.com/@Making Spirituality Real. And because there's a lot going on, and I don't know that Monica and Shaylee, who are pretty regular viewers, are aware to be in more touch with us or with me. I have and actually, Jagoda is starting which I guess maybe is just for astrology, but starting a Facebook group, which I'm going to do that, even though I love to hate on Facebook and Meta, and I'd really rather not, but that's where a lot of people are. So I am going to do that. But in the meanwhile, I do have a Signal group, and I've put up the tinyurl.com/Hecate's Network is how you get to a page that will add you to that group. And if you don't know what Signal is, you can go to Hecate.com/ #Signal and learn about what it is and download it if you'd like to be in that group, because that's like it's kind of a group chat, but you can like remove yourself. And 2, if it's a group, sometimes you mute it so it doesn't keep, blowing up your phone. I'm on some groups that are like hundreds of people, and certainly like I go look once in a while, but the group, the Hecate's Network group, is about 100 people. And, some days there'll be an explosion of like 20 messages, but some days it's quiet. So let's look at the comments. We got comments going.
Monica is saying you're all over. All over the social media. You're famous, Khazri.
Ah. Oh, there you go. Well, because perhaps I've wanted to have a presence for a long time, and it is the thing that I'm doing, even though I'm overextended, because I'm also taking a class called the Burning Times Never Ended, and luckily it's not a high stress thing, so I'm going to remain in that, but I can't give it as much attention as I want, and I'm looking to buy property, which, oh my goodness, that's like a big deal, and a lot of things that need attention. Plus, I need to do my laundry, like we learned in the human design. I need to be more physically active. And I haven't been, and now it snowed here in Portland today, so I'm kind of snowed in for today, but maybe Monday I can hit the ground running and get back to the pool, because I love the water. I love being in the pool, but you do have to carve out the time. I used to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't know. I got out of the habit. My life is full, but I need to make it a priority because my human design chart says that I do, and I sense it anyway. I know that.
Balance in all things. I also wanted to say, and use this opportunity to say that on my YouTube channel, I started a podcast where I talk about more broad spiritual topics that that are kind of more more abstract, because I talk about life in other dimensions and the general spiritual energies on planet Earth and how that works in the context of our human life contrasted with extraterrestrial life, and also about the polarity of the divine masculine and feminine energies and things like the Hermetic principles. So it's going to be like a more abstract podcast. Like this is more concrete information, more specific, looking at your charts and more knowledge when it comes to astrology and stuff like that. But this other stuff is kind of like, I'm the female Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't know if you know who that is. It's a bit like that, because it's kind of what I'm intuitively called to do. And I just kind of say what is channeled, but then, thank you so much, Monica. It's so nice to hear. Oh my God, Chile is so right. I remember when we lived in Portland, and like they, it wasn't even that much snow. I've seen more in Poland, and they were like, "Oh my God, the winter has surprised everyone." Even though it happens every year, what a surprise!
Well, it doesn't actually snow and stick every year, and we do just shut the city down because it's easier. And actually, I discovered it a few years ago when we had a really 17, 18. I think 16, 17. There was like a blizzard, and like we got 12 inches, and then it didn't get above freezing. It was like in the teens and 20s for like 2 weeks. And it really was a mess, and people were really upset, but you can't predict when that's going to happen. And like the amount of money it would cost to have, because I don't know if they have like a dozen snow plows or something. So they plow like the freeways, but they can't plow all the streets, because to spend, like, it would cost probably tens of millions of dollars to have, like, when you think about, let's salt the streets. Well, the chemicals, they have to, like, it's like a pyramid. They have these like huge, you have to have like, we don't have the things to handle it, because it's going to get warm usually within hours or a day or two and then melt. So it's just cheaper and easier to just take the time off, because I think last year, maybe it didn't even snow at all. And because today, I think it's only anyway, I'm rambling about the weather. It is funny. People like to make fun of it, but there are reasons behind that.
Interesting. I think it's a cultural difference, because, the towns in Europe, even if they have a lot of people, they are smaller, as in the surface is smaller. So it's cheaper to have a plower, go through that than in America, where I can't still think about how big the towns are. And like then you have house numbers on some streets, and they go to up to 10,000 even. Like that's such a cultural difference. So I guess that's
or even 100,000. At least in LA, my relatives, that's like 6 digits. It's like 127,946, whatever street.
That's so big. My God, it's huge.
That's a big number.
Anyway, it was so nice to talk to you guys. What's my YouTube channel? It's called Making Spirituality Real, like everything else. And I think Khazri has put some links here.
I did. I put them in the chat and I put it up there, and it's back over.
I'm gonna copy my link tree also in the chat, so you can just there you go.
Just
I
click
put in my link tree everywhere. It has my YouTube, my TikToks, and my Tumblr, my everything. So
nice. Yeah, we'll jump back over here. I think I already plugged. Please like and subscribe. And one of you said that you did give me a like, and thank you for that. And I'm sort of live every day, and I think Yagoda is going to be here every Saturday, probably at 5:30 Pacific. That's what worked for you, so that's awesome. And maybe we'll see you. Yeah. Oh, I do. I have a feedback. Of course, that's like one more thing. I don't know. I have a feedback form, but yeah, you could go there if you wanted to, but I'm not going to plug that. I'm going to find my bye for now. See you next time.
I'm exhausted. It was great talking to you guys. Bye bye.
Yep. Get over to the music. I like to do my outro music, and then we'll wrap this thing either tomorrow or next week or whenever. But I talked over the music and it probably garbled my voice. I hate that.